Matt Rhule just wrapped up his final press conference ahead of the crucial Michigan State game this Saturday. And man, he revealed a bunch of big time information regarding a key wide receiver who's working his way back from injury, but a big development just happened yesterday. Not necessarily good news. We'll talk about its implications. Malcolm Hartzog and his status, what we need to do versus the Spartans in order to win. Matt Rhule's big concern with the weather. We'll discuss that and everything else you need to know, along with a bunch of big time recruiting news. It's turning out to be a really good weekend. We'll go over every single 4-star and 5-star visitor in town, along with some top prospects who just added the Huskers to their final schools. And then not one, not two, but 3 elite transfers that the Huskers are confirmed to be pursuing. We'll go over all 3 of them. And last but not least, we'll have a conversation what we need to see from the offense on Saturday to not only give us confidence that Nebraska can win the ball game, but can potentially win 9 or 10. So really quick, we have a lot to do. This video is jam-packed. Hey, if you're having a good Thursday, I know I am. Hit that like button. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Listen, we have the best family in Husky YouTube, and this is the only place you can get daily content talking Huskers. It's no brainer. Take 2 seconds. Join this family. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. I want to get things started with the Matt Rhule press conference. This will be the final time we hear from him until after the Michigan State game, and then we'll get to all the recruiting news, all the transfer portal news, and our conversation at the end of the video. But talking about Matt Rhule, he first entered his press conference discussing the implications that the weather will have versus the Spartans. Now, it's not the heat, it's not the humidity, it's not necessarily the rain or the snow, it's the wind. It's been reported that there will be winds from the south of up to 20 miles per hour. There will be gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour. And he said that's absolutely going to impact our game plan. It's going to impact the way we play, not necessarily with our offensive game plan. We're not going to be running the football a lot more because of the wind. Dylan Riley, he's just going to have to address that with his arm. He's going to have to adjust. So that's not really going to impact offense at all, but it's going to impact our special teams, particularly kicking the football, punting, our return game. And Matt Rhule said because of this wind, especially if it's going at the face of our kicker, if we're 45, 50, 55 yards out, we're not going to be able to kick a field goal. We're going to miss it because this wind is so strong. So just watch out for that on Saturday. Again, if it's a 4th down and 2, 4th down and 3, Nebraska, they're more likely than ever to go for it, to be aggressive, and to go try to get 7 points rather than 3. And honestly, I like that. Again, if it forces us to be more aggressive, I'm perfectly comfortable, because in order to be an elite team in my mind, you need to be aggressive. You need to trust your offense on 4th downs. You need to get it at a high rate. So that was the first thing he discussed. Then we just got a huge update around Demitrius Bell. Not necessarily the news that we wanted to hear. Now, of course, Demitrius, he's been out for about a year now with his ACL tear. But Matt Rhule said that he was working his way back this week, that he practiced early to try to potentially play versus Michigan State. However, he had yet another hiccup. He injured his hamstring on his other leg. Not the same leg he had the ACL, but a different leg. He's going to miss an extended period of time once again. So, again, it just went from bad to worse with D-Bell. He's so talented. We need him in this receiver core because the depth, honestly, once you get past the top 3 or 4, it gets a little sketchy. But at this point, again, I just want to medically redshirt him because, again, it's clear he's not 100% no matter what it is, whether it's the knee, the hamstring, lower body, ankle. He's going to find a way to get injured. We just got to prepare him for next year at this point. But unfortunate news with Demitrius. And then Malcolm Hartzog, he will once again probably be out versus Michigan State. Matt Rhule refused to give us a comment. He said they're going to try him out on Saturday and see, if he can go. But more likely than not, Malcolm Hartzog will not play unless, something happens very, very last second. But they're going to prepare Donovan Jones or Rex Guthrie to step up in his absence. So just don't expect Malcolm Hartzog to play. I would say 5-10% chance. But obviously, Matt Rhule doesn't want to say that for game playing purposes, but just he won't play versus the Spartans. And last but not least, he talked about the mindset ahead of this ball game. Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but this really will impact the rest of Nebraska season. The Michigan game didn't. It's how you respond from adversity. It's how you respond from those close losses. So if Nebraska goes out there against Michigan State and barely wins or even loses in a close one, that says a lot about this team, rather if we were to go out there and dominate. And Matt Rhule said he understands this got to be a statement win. This got to be a statement game for the Huskers. They're not embarrassed after losing to Michigan. They put up a tough fight. It clearly wasn't good enough. Clearly, Michigan was more talented, better coached, and we understand the work needs to be done. But again, it's how you respond. I don't need Nebraska to win all the big games this year. And I told you guys that in the offseason. I don't need Nebraska to beat Michigan or Penn State. I just need us to beat the teams we should. Whether that's, a Michigan State, a UCLA, a Northwestern. Win the games you should win. And if we can do that, we're still going to come away with, 9-10 wins this season. So it's how you respond. But the mindset inside the locker room is, hey, we got to go put on a statement. Not only are we going to win versus Michigan State, but hopefully we give them a blowout and we give confidence to the fan base like, hey, the Michigan game doesn't change anything. We're still a really good team and we're going to be in the mix potentially for the playoffs still. All right, that was the Matt Rhule press conference. It was very concise. It was very brief. But with that being said, we have a lot of recruiting to talk about. It's turning out to be a really good weekend, and we received a lot of big-time news over these past couple days. I want to get things started with a 4-star tight end who will be in town this weekend. This is Cooper Twillinger, but he just announced that he has come up with his top 4 schools: Nebraska, Michigan, Iowa, and Iowa State. Now, I told you guys for a while, I do expect him to commit to Nebraska when it's all said and done. He's somebody who has every single offer you can imagine around the country. Like he's a top 100 prospect, top 200 guy. He has Alabama in there, Georgia, Notre Dame, but he wants to stay close to home, close to South Dakota. So Nebraska, this is the second tight end they want in this class. They're probably going to land 2 when it's all said and done. Obviously, they want Ahmad Hudson as well, but Cooper Twillinger is somebody who's super tall, super high athletic upside, very physical blocker, as you'd expect coming out of South Dakota. And he could be on commit watch. He really could. If he has a really good weekend when he comes to town versus Michigan State, could see him commit sooner rather than later. But some good development around a tight end coming out of the class of 27. Then we got some big time news around Trae Taylor that he has been promoted to the 36th best player in the country according to 24/7 Sports. Again, he's on the outside looking, and he is 4 spots away from being a 5-star. So again, he's getting very, very close. He's proved on the football field. It just comes down to winning, and it comes down to honestly the camps. It comes down to politics as well a little bit. But Trae Taylor, he deserves that 5-star. I believe it's going to get very soon, but good development that he's moving up the rankings. Then I wanted to put this name on your radar. This is Mekhi Paris, who is a top 200 wide receiver in the country that Nebraska just offered. He's committed to Iowa State. He is 6'6", 210 pounds, and he's been blown up. Not only did he just receive an offer from Nebraska, but he received an offer from Oregon. Again, he's a guy in the class of 26. And what I tell you guys is whenever we offer somebody this late in the process, literally 2 months till sign day, it means we're aggressively trying to flip them. It means we want them very badly. So just would watch out for this name. He's having a heck of a high school football season. He's not going to sign with Iowa State. Let's be real. He's going to flip to, again, if it's not Nebraska, it will be Oregon. It will be one of these top schools. But Nebraska, they've been pushing to get him on a visit. So just watch out for this name. It has a lot of height, and it confirms what we already talked about earlier in the week. Nebraska, they want a 3rd wide receiver in this class. They got Jalyn, they got Larry. Those guys are really talented, but with Davion Bama, Whitty, with us mutually parting ways, they want a 3rd. So it's either going to be Mekhi Paris or another guy we'll talk about at the back half of this video. Then a couple other recruiting news that we need to talk about. Let's get to the transfer portal now. Nebraska is expected to pursue not 1, not 2, but 3 players who have entered. I mean, you start things off with Jamarion Thomas, who's coming out of Oklahoma State. He originally transferred from Vanderbilt. He's a big-time nose tackle, one of the better defensive linemen in the SEC when he was with Vandy. But again, he's 6'2", again, 330 pounds. Kind of reminds me of a Darian Daniels. Like, again, he's a big boy who can be that 0 technique, 1 technique that you need just to get right in the middle and clog the hole and clog double team. So just watch out for Jamarion Thomas. He's redshirting this year. He'll have 2 years of eligibility remaining when it's all said and done, but Nebraska expected to pursue him. Then it was reported by Pete Nakos that Nebraska has shown interest in a Virginia Tech punt return transfer by the name of Tucker Holloway. This is somebody with both 2 years of eligibility remaining. He entered the portal after, of course, Virginia Tech's head coach got fired along with other guy. Whenever a coach gets fired, anybody can enter the portal at any time, as long as it's within a month. But this is somebody who really hasn't done too much receiving the football, but one of the more dynamic returners in America and has a bunch of experience doing that. So Nebraska, they're pursuing him along with a couple of other schools from the Big 12 and the ACC. So just watch out for this name. And then, last but not least, it was announced that Oregon running back Mekhi Hughes is going to redshirt this season. Now, he hasn't officially entered the portal, but again, we can draw a conclusion he likely will at the end of this year because this is a guy who's coming out of Tulane. He was one of the best running backs in America. He got paid at Oregon, and just like what happens all the time in the transport era, you get paid, but you don't realize whether or not you're actually going to play, and he hasn't played for Oregon. So he's going to redshirt this year. He's probably going to enter the portal. You look at the stats last year for Tulane, he ran for literally 1,400 yards, 5 yards to carry, 15 touchdowns. So I would not be shocked if Nebraska shows him interest. I expect the Huskers will be very aggressive in the running back market. Obviously, we don't know if Emmett Johnson's going to be here next year. He might go to the NFL. Or some other guys might leave, some transfer out. Quinn Ives might transfer out. Kai Nelson might transfer out. You never know. With that being said, I would not be shocked if Nebraska pursues him, but just would put this name on your radar. And then one guy who also hasn't entered the portal, but I'm putting on your radar for the exact same reason, is Jalyn. We talked about this name in the spring portal because he entered coming out of Cal. He ran for, in 2023, ran for 1,300 yards, one of the more dynamic running backs in the country. He went over to Oklahoma, got paid, and he has 17 rushing yards this year, and he's played in 30 games. He's probably going to do the exact same thing, redshirt, enter the portal, and then he might come to Nebraska. You never know. But Nebraska, I was pounding the table for him in April, right? I was saying, hey, we got to pursue him because this running back room isn't very good right now. And he obviously went to Oklahoma. But again, these are running backs that obviously there's no confirmed interest there yet. But I would watch out for both those guys because Nebraska, they're going to be aggressive in the market. And then really quick, going over all the visitors this Saturday versus Michigan State. I know I said that it wasn't going to be a very good weekend. I was wrong. I mean, there was a bunch of 4-star, even potential 5-star guys who will be in town, so we'll just go over all of them briefly here. There will be no class of 26 guys, but a bunch of class of 27 guys and 28 guys. You start things off with Elijah Harmon, 6'3", about 300-pound defensive lineman coming out of Inglewood, California. Bunch of big-time offers. He'll be visiting Nebraska for the first time. You got Giovanni Tuggle, who is a borderline 5-star safety in the class of 28, coming out of Georgia. Right now listed as the 14th best player in America. He'll be visiting the Huskers also for the first time. Very physical, can play every single spot in the secondary. You got Frederick Arks, who's an edge rusher in the class of 27, 6'5", about 210 pounds, coming out of Florida. He reminds me a lot of a Cameron Wilson, where Cameron Wilson's in the class of 26, but I mean, just so athletic. Jumps off line of scrimmage, speed, swim move, gets to the quarterback in a split second. Got a lot of talent there. You got Micah Benning in the class of 28. Yes, you are correct what you're thinking. He is the son of Damon Benning, also the brother of Caleb Benning, who's currently with Nebraska. So just watch out for this name. Doesn't have any offers yet, but I could see him blow up. He had a really good game a couple weeks ago against Omaha North. Had a couple interceptions in there. So Micah Benning, just watch out for him. Could blow up very quickly here, get a bunch of offers. But again, he has a good lineage in there. He has a good father who's done at a high level and a good brother who also is with our team. And then Josiah Teasley, again, he expected to be on campus this summer. The other wide receiver that we're trying to flip in the class of 26, also 6'5", committed to Virginia. And then just going over the other ones really briefly who are expected to be in town. Just go over these names here. You got a couple 3-stars. Gavin Stecker, you got Trey Geethers. You got Kaylon Haney, of course. At some point he's going to commit. We never know. You got Xavier Perkins. All these guys in the class of 27, by the way. So just wanted to gloss over them. So that is all the recruiting news, all the transfer portal news. And then I want to end this video with a quick question for you, a quick conversation. Who emerges as the guy at wide receiver this Saturday? Because I think it's important for Nebraska going forward to have that guy, have the number one target who gets all the interest nationally, could potentially be a first-round draft pick. It's important for Dylan Raiola to build that connection. We have 3 really good receivers right now. We have a Jacory, we have Dane, and we have Nyziah Hunter. But none of those guys have really established themselves as the number one. Okay, Dane Key's had his moments. He had a really good performance versus Houston Christian. Nyziah Hunter had his game versus Cincinnati, was phenomenal. And Jacory Barney's kind of filled in the gaps everywhere else. My question to you, who emerges themselves this Saturday? Who proves to everyone, hey, I'm the best receiver on the squad. I'm a future first rounder. I'm going to be in the mix for the Biletnikoff. And with my play alone, I'm going to elevate this offense to be one of the best in the conference. Okay, who is that guy? Because right now, in my opinion, we have a bunch of great receivers, but who's going to make that step to be the elite wide receiver? That's what I want you to answer down below. My guess, I think Dane Key will finally break out. I wouldn't say I was critical of him, but I was disappointed with his start to the season, right? He has about 200 receiving yards. It's cool, but he didn't do much versus Michigan. We thought we were getting a little bit more coming to Kentucky, I think, versus Saturday, especially with Michigan State's lack of secondary. They have one of the worst in the Big Ten. I think Dane Key could really break out in a big way. In the exact same grain, who breaks out at tight end? Because Luke Lindenmeyer, he's been fine, but Luke's not a difference maker. He's never been a difference maker this year. He had a poor game versus Michigan. He had a poor game versus Houston Christian. Is Luke Lindenmeyer going to take that step forward? What about Haarberg? We've seen Haarberg take some strides. We really have. He had the nice touchdown at the end of the game versus the Wolverines, played decent versus the Huskies. Can he do something? Or what about Card Nelson? I don't know. But really, in my opinion, this will be the game that proves a lot of pieces in the receiver core, with, of course, how bad the Michigan State secondary is. Like, if you can't produce versus Michigan State, I'm really not going to bet on you to produce the rest of the year. So really, I just want to have your thoughts on that, right? Who's going to break out wide receiver? Who's going to break out tight end? Who's going to be that guy that we can solidify as our number one after Saturday? So, all right, guys, that's the video talking everything Nebraska, man. I'm excited for Saturday. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit nervous. I'll save my, of course, prediction until tomorrow's early video, so watch out for that. I think it's going to surprise some people. I think it will. So be there for that. Be post around 9:30 tomorrow morning. My prediction: Nebraska, Michigan State. All right, guys, have a good day. Have a good Thursday. Go Big Red. Go Met Roll. Hit the like button and subscribe. See you in the next one.